Holy shit. The Final Fantasy VII Remake demo is amazing. So after a few weeks of a leak that came out in early January of 2020, we finally have the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo available to download and play. And let me tell you, I have played through the entire demo and I want to give my thoughts on the game and what I think about it. But TLDR, if you don't want to skip ahead, I'm going to tell you guys right now that this demo is amazing. It's bringing me back to when I first played Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation back in 1997. It has a very similar feeling to the game that really is just bringing me back, and all the feels are coming back, and man, I'm just so hyped about this game. I played the demo. It's about an hour long, and I just didn't want it to end. And for those people that don't know, the demo comprises of the kind of the first section of the game, the Mako reactor. You end up fighting the boss, and then you got the time limit in order to get out and escape before the clock runs out. It's pretty easy to do. You can probably get through the demo in one sitting. You probably won't die, but look, what can I say? I love the demo, and I'm so psyched about the game, and I think it's really going to be one of the contenders with Game of the Year. And I know, you know, we're getting ahead of ourselves with those discussions because we've got some brilliant games that are already scheduled to come out this year, and ones that we haven't even heard about yet that will get announced as well. But for me, this really is a contender for Game of the Year from what I've played. Now, a couple of things about the demo that I should let you guys know. The first thing is it's an hour long, and again, it's the first section of the game. You'll get to experience the combat and how that feels. There's 3 different combat types that you can pick from at the start of the game. You can go classic mode, you can go kind of normal, and then you can kind of go easy mode, which is really more about if you want to just play and enjoy the story. And really, these are kind of, I guess, disguised as difficulty levels in some way. But for me, I just kind of went the normal mode and just kind of experienced it that way. You have everything that the original Final Fantasy VII game has. You have the limit breaks, you have some really cool mechanics as well if you've played the original game. You also get things like dodge rolling and things like that, so you can basically run around the map and do dodge rolling, which is really cool. You know, the battles are obviously real time. They're not the, you know, the whooshing, you know, circular spin and transition into the fight sequence. It's all kind of just integrated into the game, and oh my god, the game looks fantastic. I'm very, very psyched about this game. Now look, another thing I will say is this, and that is, if you have never played a Final Fantasy game, then this Final Fantasy VII Remake is something that you can easily step into and enjoy as a first-time FF7 player. So you don't necessarily need to have experience with any Final Fantasy VII game, let alone the Final Fantasy original FF7 game on the PlayStation. You don't have to be someone that is familiar with those games. Sony and Square Enix have truly brought this game to a new generation, and this game stands alone as its own entity, and I think they've done a great job in bringing the story to a new generation. I mean, as soon as I started playing it, you know, I was obviously very familiar with what was going on, but for someone, and I kind of thought about it, for someone that's never played Final Fantasy VII before, you will also pick up the storyline pretty quickly. And look, it's a great game, and I think that you guys are really going to appreciate it. Now, a couple of things on the technical side. Now, I don't have the ability to, you know, count pixels and things like that. I can test frame rates, but from what I can tell, I tested this game on a base PS4, so I didn't test it on a PS4 Pro yet, and it ran quite well for the most part, but I did notice some frame drops here and there. There was definitely some drops, you know, that were below 30 frames per second, and I guess I should mention that this game is targeting 30 frames per second. It's not a 60 FPS game by any stretch of the imagination. And For the most part, it looked pretty smooth at 30, but I did notice some sections where the game started to dip, and obviously Digital Foundry will do a very complete and concise, technical analysis on the game. So stick around for that. From what I can tell, the game definitely runs at 30 for the most part, but there are some drops. Now, one thing I will also mention is the resolution. This game, although the PlayStation 4, the base PS4 is kind of targeting 1080p, I don't believe this game is running at 1080p. To me, it looks a little softer than normal, and it feels like, for me, that this game is running more at like 900p. But again, wait for Digital Foundry's analysis on those two things. But from what I've seen, and I've played the demo a couple of times, expect a couple of frame rate drops and a 900-ish p resolution. But otherwise, I think the game looks amazing. I mean, it's a absolutely gorgeous looking game, one of the best games of this generation. I mean, I had to stop and just kind of really just admire the graphics sometimes, because some of the screenshots and things that we saw, you couldn't really be sure if it was from a cutscene or it was from the game. But I kind of stopped and took a couple of screenshots of the gameplay. So this is like one of Cloud just kind of facing a wall, and I kind of just panned the camera around. And this is an in-game screenshot of the game. This is not a cutscene or anything like that. So, I mean, the graphics are some of the best that you'll ever see this generation. And it really gets me excited to see what comes next for the Final Fantasy, the franchise, and whether we'll see an enhanced version on the PlayStation 5. Now, I'm sure we will when the time comes, but rest assured, this is one of the most beautiful looking games that you can ever play to date. And for me, the graphics look fantastic. Now, I am also curious to see how this performs on the PlayStation 4 Pro and how it looks on a PS4 Pro. I do expect to see that those frame rates get smoothened out, and I do expect to see a bump in the resolution, potentially to 1080p. But again, if that's the case, I think you could be pretty happy with that. Now, obviously the PlayStation 4 Pro has more headroom to go a lot higher than that, 1440p obviously, and 4K or 4K checkerboarding. But if they do focus on 1080p with a smooth 30 FPS, I think that is really good enough for this game, because it does look really good. There have been talk and some rumors about how big the full game will be. The full game, from what I understand, and take this with a grain of salt, will come in at around 73 gigabytes. So it will be quite large. Now, this will only be one of a multi-part series. I expect to see more parts get released after this first part, which I think will probably take, 30 or 40 hours of gameplay to complete the first part of the game. Now, I don't want to spoil the story or the game for anyone that hasn't played through Final Fantasy VII, but I do expect it will be a 30 to 40 hour kind of campaign for the first game. Now, I think this game is going to sell really well. A lot of people are very excited about it. Obviously, fans of the original, as well as new fans that have seen the E3 trailer from last year and got really hyped about the game. And I think this is going to be a big success for Sony and Square Enix. And obviously, it's a kind of timed exclusive for Sony. I think they have a 1-year timed exclusive on it, but expect to see this come out for the PC, Xbox Series X eventually, and the PlayStation 5. Undoubtedly, we'll get ports which will really enhance the game a lot, and I'm expecting to see some really good things on the PC. And there's also been some talk about data miners finding PC-based assets in the demo build itself. So there's obviously more to come there, and this is really only the beginning of what's going to be a really fascinating and amazing series of games in the Final Fantasy VII Remake kind of series that comes out over the next couple of years. And I'm really looking forward to what's coming out next, and really for the game to come out. I've got it pre-ordered. I can't wait. I'm going to just play through it like I did back in the day, back in 1997, and really just soak it all up and enjoy it. But look, this game is going to be one of the best games you'll ever play. So do yourself a favor, download the demo, check it out. If you're not a Final Fantasy fan and you're kind of curious about it, take a look at the game. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's one of the best ways to get into RPGs as an experience. It's really kind of, many people got into RPGs back in the day with Final Fantasy VII, and the remake is just kind of bringing that forward to a new generation. Well guys, we're going to leave it here for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought about my comments, and if you've played Final Fantasy VII Remake, the demo, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.